I had a bad mood binge and I didn't know what to do with myself. And because I haven't had one for so long, it was quite disconcerting. My name is Ginger, and this is my channel Ginger Goes GLP-1, where we discuss all things GLP-1. In my specific case, that would be Mounjaro. Now, I'm on a Mounjaro pen of 7.5 milligrams, and I have been for the past 17 weeks. As you can tell from the title, I haven't had the best week, and those of you that know that work has been an absolute nightmare. So I'll get to that a bit later. For those that don't want to watch it, you can just stop the video as and when. But these weekly updates, which are my weigh-in updates, I tend to go through things like mood, hunger, cravings, side effects, sleep, calories, non-scale victories, and sort of anything there and in between. So this week, like I said, my mood hasn't been the best just because of lots and lots and lots of things going on. And we all have life going on for us, and we have to learn how to navigate our way through that as best as we can, and especially when we're feeling stressed. So for me, the mood is where I tend to lose control of my eating. Although having said that, I haven't done that for 34 weeks. So I've had some little blips along the road where, I've felt a bit dysregulated and I've wanted to eat crisps or peanuts or binge on, pate and toast. And as you can tell, I'm a very savory, salty person, where I want to sort of, indulge in all of those foods. But I've managed to resist them, or I've managed to sort of work them in sensibly to my sort of daily thing. So I haven't actually been overcome by a binge since I started Mounjaro in October of 2024. That changed this week. And on Wednesday, so mood, is rage a mood? If rage is a mood, then that was the mood of the week, was rage. It was a bank holiday week in the UK, so it was only a 4-day week. I was off the back of my sister having visited, which was great. It helped reset me. I felt so much better. And then went into work, and we're under consultation. So if you don't know, that's what all of the work stress is about. There's going to be huge changes to the organisation as a whole, but specifically the department that I work in, and sort of dialing it down more to do with my job. My job is quite a unique role, and probably what they think of as the most easily expendable role. Anyway, long story short, the news came in on Wednesday. It was as I expected, that my element is being eliminated completely. I do have a job. So, first world problems, I'm quite aware. I do have a job, but it will be elsewhere, and not what I want to do. So that came in on Wednesday, and then the rage took over, because not only was it that, but there was more. So I did say I was going to do it later. I apologize. I'll cut that bit short now anyway. So yeah, there was, I ended work. Well, we got the email at 3 o'clock. I would say there was not a lick of work done between 3 and 5 p.m. All you could hear was people going around swearing, being very upset, calling each other, not answering their telephones, making declarations when they had an email come in. So yeah, it was all of that. So I finished work, and if you know the term dysregulated, obviously we kind of do know it, but like specifically where you have just basically you have lost the regulation of your emotions. And that's what happened to me. I lost the ability to regulate myself, to self-regulate. My mind was churning, I was pacing, I was swearing like a trooper. It was full on. I mean, it was I had a builder in the house, and let me say, I think he was probably shocked by my language. So that tells you just how bad it was. But yeah, so I was pacing, I was doing all the things, and I wanted to binge, I wanted to do something just to change the emotions. And that's the whole thing about this sort of like this learning curve that we're all on with Mounjaro, is that, it takes away the food noise, it takes away a lot of the sort of hunger cues, the cravings and things like that. So we're easily satisfied with less amount of food, and we're not constantly obsessing about food all the time. But my old habits overrode all of that, didn't care about all of that, and it took over me. I'm kind of like, like I'm talking about it in like a third party. It is part of me. But I couldn't figure it out. And I tried breathing, I tried calming down, I tried punching a pillow, I tried all of the things. And then I thought, I don't care right now. I don't care. And I am choosing, and this is the key thing, I am choosing to give in to this in the moment. And so I had, for dinner, I had potato chips or crisps, Walker's cheese and onion for those that care, chocolate. I had a strip of Galaxy, and I had one Lindor ball. I also had a cup of tea with real sugar. I have a builder in the house, so I have real sugar in the house for the first time in 8 months. So I haven't had sugar in the house the whole time. I went and bought a bag for him. And so I had a cup of sweet tea. I think that was almost like for the shock or whatever, or just to try and do something. I don't know. And half a protein bar. The half protein bar was just in the fridge, and I'd kind of decided that I was going to have that as a snack anyway. So, but yeah, so I did eat the crisps or potato chips, and I didn't do it very ladylike or very gainly. It was kind of like a shove, it was kind of like a crunch and angry kind of thing. And then I had the chocolate, and I had one strip, which was like 5 little squares. And then I decided to go out and sit in the sun. If you watched a couple of weeks ago, I made the same decision when I was having similar thoughts, because this consultation's been rolling on since March. And I went and sat out in the sun. I sat down, I drank the sweet cup of tea. I don't usually have sugar in my tea. Drank the sweet cup of tea, ate the protein bar, sort of sat in the sunshine with my glasses off so the sun was getting into my eyes. And I just then I sank and I kind of relaxed a little bit. So am I glad I gave into it? I think I am, ultimately. Could I have done without it? I probably really could have done if I tried very, very hard. But by making the decision to give into it and making the decision to just ride it out, just to allow myself to have this momentary lapse, I think I moved past it and through it a lot quicker than if I had tried to resist it and, had my dinner. So I had I already had it ready to go. Excuse me. I had a lamb chop and some cauliflower and some green beans that I was going to have for dinner. And I ultimately decided that I wasn't going to have dinner, because once the rage had passed, I'd had the potato chips, the chocolate, the protein bar, the thing. I actually wasn't hungry. Then I kind of just went into feeling sad, feeling bad, feeling kind of like low and things like that. So I kind of just drew a line under the day, called it quits, and I just went and, watched some light-hearted stuff while having moments of So yeah, so that's how mood went this week. So what I will say is that in that binge, and it was a mini binge, it wasn't like a full on like I used to do. I probably ended up eating between 25 to 30 grams of potato chips, which is a portion. I had one strip of the chocolates, which was 5 little squares, which kind of like is a portion, I guess. And then the half a protein bar, that's negligible. I think it's about 132 calories or something along those lines. And the cup of tea with sugar, I don't know. I think it's about 50 calories, is it, for a teaspoon of sugar? Anyway, what I will say is I logged all of those calories. I put them down into the app that I use, and I just thought, right, I'm done for the day. And as it turned out, because I didn't eat dinner, I was within the calories for that day. So it's a win and a loss. I haven't had a binge since I started. This was a mini binge and it was quite contained, but it was a binge nonetheless, because I recognized that, like, the way I was eating, I wasn't eating mindfully, I was eating angrily and aggressively. So, with all of the things going on in my life and all of the problems, my car broke down for the fifth time again after they fixed it for the fourth time. So that was another stressor. So there's lots of different stresses. So with all the things going on, the one thing that's going really well is my weight loss. And it was the one thing my brain decided to sabotage. So I think that's interesting that, like, it's almost like you're turning the punishment round onto yourself. I'll go into that maybe later on in midweek musings. As you know, I like to sort of do a bit of a deep dive on how we react and our emotions and why we might do certain things. I'm not a doctor, I'm not a mental health professional. I've just been examining myself and my life for quite a long time. So, right, I've gone on quite a lot about mood, so I might sort of adjust this in the video as to where it's going to go. But I'll get back to regular scheduling right now and talk about hunger. So the rest of the week, my hunger, what I can say, what I've really noticed this week with my hunger is my hunger has been very normal. And I use normal kind of like in air quotes because I've had hunger. So I've had some hunger in the mornings sometimes, and I've had hunger at lunchtime, and I've also had hunger in the evening. Now, very manageable levels of hunger that are easily satisfied by a standard amount of food, I would say. So, not overeating, not undereating, just eating a regular portion of food has left me feeling very satisfied. But my hunger cues have been there. And I don't know if I just noticed it more this week because I was surprised I was able to eat all of that Sunday roast, because that was a decent sized plate of food. And I did eat it and I really enjoyed it. I was full afterwards, but I wasn't uncomfortably full. It was just kind of manageable, like I've had a big meal kind of thing. So yeah, so the hunger has kind of balanced out, and I'm really liking that on the 7.5 because I hope to stay on this. You know, my side effects, which I'll come to in a minute, are manageable on this, and so the hunger and the cravings. I'll talk about cravings. So, you know, I have had cravings in the sense that I've been thinking about, like, food that is over and above my calorie limit, like potato chips or chocolate or nuts. I know nuts are good for you, but not in, you know, not in huge proportions. But so my cravings, I'd say, are kind of like are there, but again, I think they're probably manageable, and they're probably what other people experience. You know, just when they fancy something different to eat. You know, they think they'd like a piece of chocolate or a piece of cake. So hunger and cravings, I would say, really good this week. Very manageable, very what I consider normal, quote unquote. So yeah, so 7.5 is still working really, really well for me. Side effects have been really manageable this week. So I've had a little bit of ear popping, not as much as I had in previous weeks. I haven't had the itch on my back at all, not that I can remember. So which is unusual because I've had that since day one. I haven't really had any other side effects. And coming swiftly onto sleep, which is my big side effect, that's the one I've sort of noticed from the beginning, is that my sleep is disturbed, interrupted, etc. I would say that this week, apart from the stress of work and, you know, waking up at like 4:30 or 5, which I recognize is entirely stress, I would say my sleep's been really good. I think I've been getting into a deep sleep, and I've been staying there until, I don't know, a stress dream happens or something, and I wake up. It's very bright here in the mornings as well. So it's bright by about 5 a.m. Um, and I'm in the spare bedroom, which doesn't have curtains, which doesn't help. But anyway, the build is finished now, so I can move back into my room. But yeah, so sleep. I feel more of the benefit of sleep this week, and I have had some early nights just because I've wanted to check out and just forget about everything that's going on. Um, so yeah, so sleep, I would say. So it's weird that like I've had a really, really bad week, but I've had a really good week in terms of like improvements and, hunger, cravings, side effects, things like that. So yeah, got to take the highs with the lows, right? Calories, I'm on track for the calories this week. I think I'm probably around 1,300 calories this week. The other thing I would say about food, hunger, and sort of calories is I'm just eating. So I'm just thinking about what have I got in the freezer? What do I want to eat for dinner? And then I'm sort of cooking it and I'm having it without too much real thought about, when you're on a diet and all you think about is what can I eat today? How much can I eat? When can I eat? What shall I have with it? Oh, what vegetables am I going to have? And that kind of thing. I haven't really been doing that. I've just been getting out food, cooking it, eating it, and then being done with it. So maybe the obsession with food has calmed down. Or maybe it's just because I am thinking of other things all the time this week. I don't know. But it was interesting that normally, and I'm sure this is true for other people, when I used to be stressed, that was just the sign to throw in the towel, eat whatever, as much as I want, and just angry eat. And I'm not doing that. So maybe that's why I'm noticing it a little bit more. Um, Goals. Well, I'll talk about goals just briefly. So if you know my goals at the moment, I've got several because I always like to have several on the go because it means I'm always going to hit one soon. So my current goals are to get to 175 pounds. That's an interim goal. Let me hold this up so I'm not looking down. To get under 180 pounds, to get into the 12s, the 12 stone, that's the UK measurements, to get under 80 kilos. I know those of you who use kilos, I'm very, very poor about commenting on my kilos, so I'm going to try and make more of an effort. And to have a total weight loss so far of 30 kilos. So there's lots of like mini goals there. So 170 pounds, under 180, 12 stones, under 80 kilos, and a total weight loss of 30 kilos. So those are where I am headed. So onto the weight loss element. Last week, I weighed in at 184.6, 184 pounds, 0.6, or 13 stone 2.6, or 83.8 kilos, which was a total weight loss for that week of 2.2 pounds. This week, I weighed in at 182.8 pounds, or 13 stone 0 and 0.8, or 82.9 kilos, which is a total weight loss for this week, surprisingly, of 1.8 pounds, or 0.9 kilos. So I cannot complain about this week. It's done me well, bearing in mind what I've been going through, and I think it's just a steady week. But I've thought it was worse than it was because, like I said, I was eating the foods that aren't necessarily healthy and good, but I didn't eat them in excessive quantities, if that makes sense. So my starting weight when I did this in October was 247.8 pounds, or 17 stone 9, or 112.4 kilos. So I've lost a total of 65 pounds, or 4 stone and 9 pounds, or 29.5 kilos since I started. So the 30 kilo weight loss is half a kilo away, which is really good. And the 12 stones are 0.9 pounds away. So hopefully, if I have an okay week, I should get to that next week. And that would be, another little sort of mini ticks. So I'd get the under 180, I'd get into the 12s, and I'd get under the, and I'd get a total of 30 kilos weight loss, which would be great. So 65 pounds, crucky. I mean, I'm so happy with that. I'm 5'7". I don't know if I've ever said that before, but I'm 5'7". So if you look at the charts, my probably good weight for me would be somewhere between, well, it says 125, which is really low, and 140 something. I think my ideal weight is somewhere between 140 and 155 pounds. I'm shooting for 140 because that's 10 stone in the UK. If I don't get there, I'm going to be happy, I think. But yeah, Jimmy Gemstar said the other day, I wrote it down about the scale. So she said, I'll know my goal when I see it on the scale or in the mirror. And I thought that was really good. Rather than holding a number, hold an image of what you want to look like in the mirror, because sometimes we could be shooting for that specific number, but actually when you look in the mirror, you look really, really good. So I'm going to sort of make those adjustments. I definitely can see a shape coming in my body. I mean, really, I can. Like, I've got a waist at the moment. I think I've lost about 10 or 11 inches off my waist. The middle bit looks like a melted candle, but the waist is coming in, and I have dips and kind of hollows coming. So that's good. What else was I going to say? Yeah, I think that's. Oh no, I know what I wanted to say, and I really regret doing this. Is on my Renfo scales. It shows you your body fat percentage and your BMI. My BMI at the moment is 28 point. I thought I'd written it down. 28.7, I think it is. So that's definitely coming down. But it also shows you your fat percentage, your muscle, your lean muscle mass, and skeletal muscle and things like that. Overall, my muscle mass is quite a lot. I'm in the high range for my height, not my weight, but my height. So I've got a lot of muscle. So even though I've lost some muscle, it looks like I started with quite a lot of muscle, which I think is probably good. But all of the weight, so 65 pounds I've lost, it still shows that I am 37% fat. So over 1/3 of my body is fat. And that equates to about 70 pounds of body is fat. Was that right? No, the math isn't mathing. But I kind of worked it out and I was like, crikey, I've done so much work. I've come so far and I'm still 1/3 fat. Oh, I don't know. I'm not demotivated by it. It was a little bit surprising when I saw it. I was like, oh, God, when am I going to get to a normal? Which I don't understand because of my BMI. And I do know that those Renfo scales, obviously, they're just putting a pulse through your body. So they're not actually, doing an accurate assessment like a DEXA scan or something like that. But yeah. Right. If everybody else wants to leave now, I'll say goodbye. Okay. Thank you very much for joining me. And if you do like the video, do like and subscribe. Leave me a comment. But if you want to hear just a little bit more about sort of work, everyone was really supportive. What I will say is the work situation is way worse than probably any of us anticipated it was going to be. And they're introducing, so not only will I be dropping down in pay, that is guaranteed. I'm told there's no way around that. My contract that I'm currently on, they'd put me on an extension until the 31st of May, so today. And as of Thursday, they still hadn't amended my contract. So they hadn't told me what was happening on Monday. And I went a little bit sort of aggressive. And I just said, come Monday morning, I will not be answering a single telephone call or doing any work until you tell me what's happening. So you need to figure that out. Long story short, they had to rejig some things, and they have extended my contract for the 30 more days, so to the end of June, just because they need somebody in the role while they figure out what they're going to do with all of my work. So there's that. Like I said, my car. And the other thing was, we're now going to have to do different hours. We're going to have to go to different bases and locations, mandatory. There's going to be weekend working, mandatory. We're going down in pay. So if you don't like it, you can leave. And there's probably going to be a change in manager structure. So lots and lots of negatives. Like I said, my car broke down for the 5th time. Not broke down, but stopped working as I was driving it. And I had to limp home with a very weak engine for the 5th time. I have quite a nice car, and I've had it repaired 4 times in the last 3 weeks. And it went again when I was driving my sister. We were going to go shopping, clothes shopping, and it stopped working on the way to the mall. So that was the thing. And then they were trying to make me pay for it. So they got a dose of my rage as well. We ended up meeting halfway. Then the builders obviously were in the house. So the house has been dusty and chaotic, and, all the things going on here. And he's lovely. My God, this guy is brilliant. He's an absolute gem of a guy. And he's done such a fantastic job on my house. I live in an old Victorian house, and he's done such a fantastic job repairing all of the things that kind of have gone wrong over the years. So bless him, he's done a great job. But obviously, he was here. There was stuff everywhere. I'm in the spare bedroom. There's no curtains, so I've been waking up early. Lots and lots of different things. And then my daughter in America is buying a house, and catastrophe struck on Thursday. Not catastrophe, but as with all house buys, something threw them for a loop on Thursday, and then the whole thing was called into question. So obviously I've been trying to help her and support her as well, and we all know how stressful buying a house is. So this week I did miss my Wednesday midweek musing because I could not focus on anything but sort of feeling sorry for myself, I think. Just having to take time just to chill out, not think about anything, not have to do anything, and just trying to come on camera and be positive and talk about weight loss when I just felt like everything was crumbling around me was just a bit much. So I apologise for missing Wednesday. And I've waffled on a bit longer today. So if you can take anything good from today, that's really good. But yeah, if you have stayed to watch this bit, thank you. And I do really appreciate all the very positive and supportive comments that people give me. And I love, some of you have said that we are all supporting each other, which is what we're here for, isn't it? We all understand each other. We all have similar stories and what we've been through, and why we have ended up at the place that we are, and why we're trying to get back to a better version of ourselves. So I really, really, really appreciate all of your comments, and it really does mean the world to me. So I just wanted to give you a little sort of round out of this whole scenario. And we go in on Wednesday for the actual sort of consultation meeting where we discuss it with the unions and all of that. But anyway, it doesn't look good. I'm just going to take it as it is. There's no way around it, essentially. So I am going to be looking for another job. And yeah, So we'll see. We'll see where it goes. But I'm going to keep coming on here because I love doing this. And, I love the comments. I love the interactions. I love watching other people's videos and where they're going and how they're doing. And I've always said it, do tell me how you're doing in the comments because I really, really, really do enjoy it. I'm not just paying lip service to that. I'm really interested in how everybody's doing and what they're learning from this, and there any key comments and things that they've sort of got along the way. So continue to update me with your weight losses and how things are going for you. But I am going to end it here. But thanks very much if you did stay with me to the bitter end. What can I say? I'm just trying to think of a weird emoji or a weird, I don't know, put a piece of broccoli. Put a piece of broccoli in the comments if you've made it all the way to the bitter end. But have a good week, everybody. Thanks very much for bearing with me. And I will see you again on Wednesday for sure.